My child, sit with me for a moment, because I have something to place in your spirit tonight that you have needed to hear for a very long time. I have chosen someone for you. Their name is already written into the path I laid beneath your feet before you ever noticed the road. You have not seen it yet, but something in you has begun to sense it, which is why your heart has been restless in ways you could not explain, why certain prayers kept rising from a place deeper than your own thoughts could reach. That was me, stirring something. That was me, preparing you. And the very first thing I need you to understand about the one I am sending is this: they will never make you shrink. So stay with me until the end, because by the time these words are finished, something that has been unsettled in you for years is going to finally settle. Let me speak first to the wound, because I have seen it, even when no one else did. You have spent long stretches of your life making yourself smaller so that other people could feel comfortable. You bent your words. You softened your needs until they nearly disappeared. You swallowed your own voice to keep a fragile peace in places that were never truly peaceful to begin with. You learned to take up less space, to ask for less, to expect less, because somewhere along the way you came to believe that the fullness of who you are was too much for the people around you to hold. I saw all of it. I saw the cost of every time you dimmed your own light to make someone else feel bigger. And I am telling you tonight, the person I am bringing into your life will not require that of you. They will not ask you to hold back the fullness of who you are. They will not need you to perform a smaller, more manageable version of yourself. If you are done shrinking yourself to be loved, type, "I will not shrink to be loved." Let me name the specific ways you learn to disappear, because you have done it so long that it now feels like simply who you are. You learn to laugh a little quieter, so you would not seem too much. You learn to hide the depth of your thoughts because the last person who heard them made you feel strange for having them. You learn to want less out loud, to need less visibly, to celebrate your own good news quietly so no one would feel eclipsed by it. You learn to keep the peace by keeping silent, to be easy to be around by being less of yourself. And every one of those small self-erasures was a survival strategy, a way to stay connected to people who could only love a smaller version of you. I do not condemn you for any of it. You did what you had to do to be accepted in rooms that were never big enough for your whole heart. But hear me, my child. The season of making yourself small is ending. I am not sending you someone else you will have to shrink for. I am sending you someone in whose presence you will finally be able to unfold, all the way without fear. And I want you to feel the weight of what that will actually be like, because you have almost forgotten it is possible. Imagine speaking your true thought and watching it be received instead of managed. Imagine sharing your dream and seeing it met with delight instead of a subtle flinch. Imagine sitting in silence beside someone and feeling no pressure to perform, no anxiety to fill the space, only the deep ease of being with a person who is glad you exist exactly as you are. Imagine loving without keeping one hand on the exit, without rehearsing how you will make yourself acceptable, without editing the fullness of who you are down to a size someone else can tolerate. That is not a fantasy. That is what I designed love to be before the wrong hands taught you otherwise. And that is what I am preparing to give you. And understand why you were never meant to shrink in the first place. I did not make you as a rough draft to be edited down for someone else's comfort. I fearfully and wonderfully made you. That is from Psalm 139, verse 14. Every part of you that the wrong people found to be too much, too deep, too sensitive, too intense, was not a flaw in my design. It was the design. The one I am sending has been prepared to see the very things others could not handle and to call them beautiful. What made you feel like a burden in the wrong hands will feel like a gift in the right ones. So stop apologizing for the size of your heart. The problem was never that you were too much. The problem was that you kept offering your fullness to people who were too small to receive it. If you can believe you were made full and not made to be made small, type, I was made full, not small. Now let me tell you that this person is not a stranger to my plan. They did not wander into your future by accident. From the very beginning, I looked at your life and I said, it is not good for this one to be alone. It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. That is from Genesis, chapter 2, verse 18. Partnership was not an afterthought I added on. It was in my heart for you from the start. So the loneliness you have carried was never me deciding you were meant to walk through life unaccompanied. It was the ache of a promise not yet arrived, not a promise denied. And when your paths finally cross, there will be something in you that simply knows, quiet, certain, not needing to shout to be believed. I know you have wondered whether a lasting connection would ever find its way to you, or whether you would always be the one left standing on the outside of something you longed for, watching other people receive the very thing your heart ached for. I know the silence in your nights has sometimes felt heavier than you ever let anyone see, and I want you to hear that I was not absent from a single one of those moments. I was present in every one of them. When you lay awake wondering if love had somehow skipped over you, I was there. When you watched others pair off and felt the quiet sting of being passed by, I was there. When you told yourself you were fine being alone, and part of you believed it while another part quietly grieved, I was there for both parts. And in every one of those moments, I was not only near you, I was already building the answer, already preparing the person, already writing the very meeting you were afraid would never come. The ache you felt was real, but it was never proof that I had forgotten you. It was the shape of a longing I fully intend to fill. It will rise in your chest like a breath you did not know you were holding, and the release of it will feel like the most natural thing you have ever known. And when it comes, it will not feel foreign. It will feel familiar, like a long-forgotten memory returning, like a word you have been trying to remember for days, that suddenly, without effort, is simply there. That is how I move. I do not impose. I reveal, and what I reveal carries the weight of certainty, because it was never uncertain to begin with. You will not have to talk yourself into it, or build a case for it, or convince your friends that it makes sense on paper. It will settle into you the way truth settles, quietly, deeply, beneath the reach of argument. Because when I am the one who arranges a connection, I do not leave your spirit guessing. I give it a knowing that goes deeper than logic, a recognition that your mind may question but your heart will not. So pay attention to what repeats. Pay attention to what keeps returning to your thoughts when you have not invited it. That is not your mind playing tricks on you, and it is not you forcing a hope into being. That is me pointing. I leave markers on your path the way a river leaves marks in stone, not with violence, but with patience over time, until the shape becomes unmistakable. A name that catches your attention, a face that lingers in your memory longer than it should, a sense that will not quite leave you alone. Do not dismiss the moments that make your spirit pause. Do not explain away what feels significant. Those pauses are not accidents. They are invitations to look closer, to listen more carefully, to pay attention in a way you have not been accustomed to. I am sharpening your awareness on purpose, because what is coming requires you to recognize it when it arrives. And recognition requires a spirit that is awake, not dulled by distraction or clouded by the cynicism your disappointments tried to teach you. Before I take you deeper, let me tell you how these words even reached you tonight, because a lonely heart should know. You did not pay anything to receive this. It came to you freely. Likely on a night the silence around you felt heavier than you let anyone see, and it came freely because someone who once waited exactly as you are waiting now, who almost gave up on believing a real love would find them, held on, received their promise, and chose to sow a seed so that the next waiting heart would hear this word too. Tonight, you are that heart, so you owe nothing, and you simply receive. And if there ever comes a season when your own promise has arrived and I lead you to, you may pass it forward, sowing a seed of any amount so this word reaches the next soul waiting in the silence. And I make you this promise, even the smallest seed sown in love, I take up and make it matter far beyond its size. The link is there for whoever is led, only ever as a gift for the next heart, never as a price for a single thing I am speaking over you. Now let me heal something about your past, because it has been quietly wounding your ability to hope. You have wondered why certain things did not work out, why the connection you fought so hard to keep still fell apart, why the door you kept knocking on never opened. Hear me clearly. Those endings were not punishments. They were protections. And we know that in all things I work for the good of those who love me, who have been called according to my purpose. That is from Romans chapter 8, verse 28. I closed those doors because what stood behind them would not have held you the way you needed to be held. I did not remove those people to leave you empty. I removed them to make room. The very love you grieved losing was, in many cases, a love that would have slowly required you to shrink again, and I loved you too much to let you settle into a lifetime of that. If you can finally see the closed doors as protection and not rejection, type, "The closed doors were protection," and let me lift the verdict you have placed on yourself, because it is not mine. Somewhere in the back of your mind, even when you try to push it away, there sits a quiet question, whether someone like you could really receive something this good, whether your past has disqualified you, whether the mistakes you have made have canceled out the future I wrote. Hear me. Your past does not disqualify you. The failures you have replayed 1,000 times do not erase what I have declared over your life. I have already released those things. The only one still holding them over your head is you. So let go of the verdict you have handed yourself, because it does not carry my signature. I never wrote it, and it has no authority over what I am about to do. The one I am sending will not come to you asking for proof that you are worthy. They will not weigh your history on a scale and decide whether you measure up. They will look at you the way I do, with an understanding that goes beneath the surface, and a patience that does not flinch at what is honest and imperfect. If you can release the sentence you passed on yourself, type, "My past does not disqualify me." I know how easily a word like this can fade by morning, so if something in your spirit is stirring, do not let this be the last time my voice reaches you here. Subscribe and turn on the reminder, not out of pressure, but so that when I speak the next word over the love I am preparing for you, it finds you in the exact hour you need it. I am not finished telling you what I am doing, and I do not want you to miss what comes next. Now let me speak to the impatience, because it is one of the greatest threats to what I am building. You live in a world that rewards speed, that has trained you to believe that if a thing does not happen quickly, it is not happening at all. But I do not work on that timeline. He has made everything beautiful in its time. That is from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11. In its time, not in your hurry. My arrangements are deliberate, and my timing is precise, and what I am setting in motion for you cannot be rushed without being reduced. So do not try to manufacture a result before the ground is ready. Do not grip the future with both hands and try to shape it according to your understanding, because your understanding, as honest as it is still limited by what you have already lived through. And I see further. I see the full arc of what this is meant to become. So I am asking you to trade your anxiety for trust. What is yours will not pass you by. I am guiding it directly to you, but the timing is mine, and the timing is exact. If you are ready to trust my timing over your loneliness, type, "I trust God's timing over my loneliness," and hear the difference between eagerness and impatience, because I need you on the side of trust. When the one I am sending finally arrives, they will not come wrapped in urgency or panic. They will come wrapped in calm, and that calm will be your signal. What I orchestrate does not arrive with anxiety attached. It arrives with a peace that sets it apart from every fleeting excitement you have mistaken for love before. So you do not have to chase this. You will not have to search for it, or perform for it, or convince it to stay. What is truly yours does not require you to hunt it down. It requires you to be ready to receive it. If you are ready to stop chasing and start receiving, type, "I will not chase it, I will receive it." And know this, so the waiting does not feel one-sided. The one I have chosen has already been marked by my hand, just as you have. They do not yet know the full scope of what I am doing, any more than you do, but they have felt the same stirring you have felt. They have sensed that something is shifting in their own life, even if they cannot name it. They have had their own restless nights, their own prayers rising from a place deeper than words, their own quiet ache for a love that would not require them to be less than they are. You are not the only one being prepared. Both of you are being drawn, slowly, toward the same invisible center, and that center is my purpose for your lives. So when you feel alone in the waiting, remember that somewhere, another heart is being tended by the same hand, aimed at the same meeting, aching in the same direction. You are not waiting toward an empty space. You are waiting toward a person who, in their own way, is waiting toward you, and understand how close this actually is, because you have been measuring the distance wrong. You have measured it in months and years, in how long you have already waited, and how long it might still take. But the distance between where you are and where this connection begins is not measured in time at all. It is measured in readiness. When your heart reaches the place I have been preparing it for, the door will open, and not slowly, not halfway, but fully. That is why I have been doing so much internal work in you, softening what disappointment made rigid, healing what betrayal made guarded, restoring your ability to believe you could be loved without condition. I am not delaying your love to punish you. I am completing the very preparation that will let you receive it without it slipping through fingers that were not yet ready to hold it. So the question was never really when. The question was always whether the ground would be ready. And the ground, my child, is almost ready now. Let me pause, plainly, as the ministry that carries these words to you. Everything you received tonight reached you because someone before you made a way, someone who waited through their own long silence and chose to make it possible for the next waiting heart to hold on. Somewhere tonight there is another chosen one lying awake, certain that love has passed them by, aching for exactly this word. If I ever lead you, you can be the reason it reaches them, sowing a seed of any amount. So this word keeps traveling to the ones still waiting. You would simply be passing forward what was freely handed to you. The link is in the description and pinned in the comments. Only ever as a gift for the next heart, never as a condition of your own. Now let me tell you about the one I have chosen, so you will recognize them when they come. This person is not walking the same road you walked before. They carry something different, not in the way the world measures difference, but in the way your spirit will feel it. There will be a steadiness about them that does not waver when pressure comes, and that steadiness is not something they manufactured to impress you. It is something I forged into them through everything they have already endured. They have walked through their own fires, they have carried their own questions, and survived their own losses. And the very things that shape them are the things that will allow them to meet you where you are without flinching and without turning away. You will notice it in the way they speak to you, not loud, not performing, but measured and honest. You will notice it in how they hold space for your silence without rushing to fill it, and you will notice it in the way your own breathing slows when you are near them, as though something in you has finally been given permission to rest. That slowing is not a small thing, my child. For years your body has been braced, on guard, ready to defend or perform or manage, to be near someone and feel that guard finally lower, to feel your shoulders drop and your breath deepen without deciding to. That is your spirit recognizing safety. Your body will know before your mind fully understands. It will feel, for the first time in a long time, like you are somewhere you do not have to protect yourself. Pay attention to that. The person who makes your spirit exhale is telling you something the noise of the world cannot. And understand that this steadiness they carry is precisely what will let them love you through the seasons that broke lesser loves. Anyone can love you on the good days, when you are easy and light and nothing is required. The one I am sending has been prepared to love you on the hard days too, the days you are tired, the days the old wounds resurface, the days you are not your best self. They will not flinch at your honesty. They will not withdraw when you are imperfect. They will not use your low moments as evidence against you. This is because I did not forge their steadiness in comfort. I forged it in their own fires, in their own seasons of being misunderstood and choosing not to grow bitter, in their own valleys where they learned that real love stays. So when they meet the parts of you that others abandoned, they will not run. They will stay precisely because they know from their own story what it costs to be left. And they have decided to be the kind of person who does not do to you what was done to them. And understand how I bring people together, because it is not the way the world does it. I do not match surfaces. I do not pair what merely looks compatible on the outside and leave the inside to chance. I go deeper. I look at the fractures, the longings, the places where strength was forged through suffering, and I align those hidden contours with someone whose own shape fits the very spaces you carry. That is why this will feel different from everything before it. That is why it will feel right in a way nothing else ever did. And the love that grows from that kind of alignment is not the fragile, dramatic kind that burns bright and burns out. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. That is from Song of Songs, chapter 8, verse 7. What I build between two refined hearts is meant to last beyond the first season of difficulty, beyond the first disagreement, beyond the moment the initial wonder settles into the quiet rhythm of daily life. Real love is not proven in grand gestures. It is proven in 1,000 ordinary days of showing up. If you can let go of chasing the dramatic and receive the steady type, real love is steady, not a performance. Let me tell you what this connection will ask of you, because it is different from what the wrong ones demanded. The wrong ones asked you to maintain an image, to keep up an appearance, to never let them see the parts of you that were still healing. This one will ask the opposite. It will ask you to be fully present, to shed your defenses, to simply be yourself without the armor. And I know that sounds frightening after everything you have carried, because vulnerability is exactly what cost you before. But hear me, in the right hands, the vulnerability you have feared becomes the very doorway to a freedom you will not want to lose. When you are finally seen, all the way, and still met with acceptance instead of rejection, something in you that has been clenched for years will finally unclench. You will discover that you no longer have to manage how you are perceived, no longer have to perform a more lovable version of yourself, no longer have to guard the door to your own heart every moment. That is not weakness. That is the deepest freedom a human being can know, to be fully known and fully accepted in the same breath. And it is exactly what I designed love to give. And do not measure this coming love against the ones that failed you, because they were never the standard. You have a habit of using your past experiences as the benchmark, of assuming that because love hurt you before, love is inherently dangerous. But your past does not dictate your future potential, and the wounds you took were never meant to become the ceiling of what you could receive. You have evolved. You have emerged from those trials stronger and clearer than you were when you entered them. The discernment you now carry, the ability to sense what is safe and what is not, was itself forged in the very seasons you thought were only breaking you. So you are not the same person who was hurt before, and this is not the same love that hurt you. Stop bracing for a repeat of a story that has already ended. What is coming is a new story written on different ground, with a foundation I tested before it ever reached your feet. I know how many voices are pulling at you, so let this not be the last time my voice reaches you here. Subscribe and stay close to this house, so that when I release the next word over what I am preparing for you, it finds you. I am walking you all the way into this, not just to the edge of it. And there is more I need to say to you before it is done. Now let me speak to the walls, because I know they are there, and I do not condemn you for building them. There have been connections in your past that drained you, where you gave freely and what came back was silence, or confusion, or words that never matched actions. You learned to read people carefully because trust had cost you before. I watched those walls go up, brick by brick, and I understood every one of them. But now I am asking you to let me walk through them, because what I am bringing requires an open gate, not a locked one. This does not mean you abandon your wisdom. It does not mean you become reckless with your heart. It means you allow trust to lead where fear once stood guard. There is a wide distance between being reckless and being willing, and I need you standing on the side of willingness. The gate does not have to swing wide open all at once. It only has to be unlocked, and my hand is already on the latch. If you are ready to let trust lead where fear has been standing guard, type, I let trust lead where fear stood guard. And when this connection arrives, do not rush to analyze it to death, because that is one of the ways fear tries to steal what I am giving. You have learned, out of self-protection, to examine everything, to look for the catch, to dissect a good thing, until you have found a reason to distrust it. That vigilance served you once, when you had to read people carefully to survive, but this love will not need to be interrogated into safety. Let understanding unfold organically over time, in layers. Sometimes a connection begins not with certainty, but simply with recognition. A quiet awareness that what you have encountered holds significance, that it was meant for you. You do not have to have every answer on the first day. You do not have to know exactly how it all works before you allow it to take root. Let it be what it is, and let it reveal itself gradually, the same way I reveal everything. The tendency to overthink is just fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Real wisdom knows when to stop analyzing and simply receive. And do not be unsettled by early differences, because they are not warnings. When two whole people, each with their own history, their own journey, their own way of seeing, begin to intertwine their lives, there will be places where you do not immediately match. That is not a sign that this is wrong. It is a sign that this is two real people, not two performances. The wrong connections often felt smooth at first precisely because someone was hiding who they truly were. This one may require patience and honest exchange, because it is real, and real things have texture. So do not panic at the first difference, the first disagreement, the first moment the initial wonder settles into the ordinary rhythm of two lives learning each other. A relationship that thrives on effort and not on exhaustion is exactly what I am building. It will not drain you the way the counterfeits did. It will ask something of you, yes, but it will give back more than it asks, and it will grow stronger through the very seasons that would have broken a shallower thing. Let me pause one more time simply, as the ministry that brings you these words. Everything you received tonight came freely, because someone who once had their own walls, and let me gently walk through them, chose to make a way for the next guarded heart to be reached. Right now there is another chosen one, certain that trusting again is too dangerous, who needs the exact reassurance you found tonight. If I ever lead you, you can be the reason it reaches them, sowing a seed of any amount so this word keeps finding the ones who built walls to survive. You would simply be passing forward what was freely handed to you. The link is in the description and pinned for you in the comments, only ever as a gift, never as a price for your own peace. Now let me settle the deepest question, the one about worth, because it sits underneath all the others. You have wondered whether you truly deserve a love like this, and I want to answer you plainly. You are worthy of it, not because you earned it, but because I declared it. Your worth was never something you had to perform your way into. It was settled the day I made you and called you mine, and it does not bend to the opinions of people who never knew the full story of what you carried. The one I am sending will not need you to prove your worth to them, because they will see it the way I see it, without you having to defend a single thing. So stop trying to earn a love that I have already prepared as a gift. Stop believing you have to become someone more impressive before you are allowed to receive it. You are worthy now, exactly as you are, in the middle of your becoming, before a single thing about your circumstances changes. If you can receive that you are worthy of the love that is coming, type, I am worthy of the love that is coming, and understand that I did not design this connection for your comfort alone. I designed it for purpose. When two people I have prepared finally stand together, something shifts, not only in their hearts, but in the direction of their lives. This is not merely about your personal happiness, as much as I care about your happiness. It is about what the two of you will become together, and what that becoming will release into the lives around you. A love grounded in me does not turn inward and close off from the world. It overflows. It becomes a steadiness others can lean on, a picture of what is possible, a light in the lives of people who had stopped believing love like that existed. So the union I am preparing carries a weight beyond the two of you. It will touch your families, your friendships, the people who watch your lives from a distance and quietly wonder how you found something so real. Do not think small about what I am doing. This is not just the answer to a lonely prayer. It is the beginning of a shared purpose that will leave a mark long after you are both gone. And one day you will look back, and you will see it. You will see the roads you walked, the valleys you were sure would break you, the losses you did not understand, the seasons of silence that felt like abandonment, and you will see a single thread running through all of it, pulling you steadily toward this very connection. Every ending that made no sense at the time, every door that closed, every quiet season of endurance, you will see at last that none of it was random. Each one was a brushstroke on a larger work I was painting all along. A work whose full shape you could not perceive while you were living inside it. This is not something I do lightly. I do not arrange lives on a whim. Every encounter and every loss was leading somewhere, and it was leading here. And when you finally see the whole picture, the pain you carried through those seasons will not look wasted anymore. It will look like preparation. It will look like the careful hand of a God who was writing a love story even in the chapters that felt like grief. And let me show you what I have been doing behind the scenes, because you could not see it. And you concluded I was doing nothing. Behind the closed doors, beneath the failed conversations, within the silence that sometimes felt like abandonment, I was there, and I was not idle. I was removing what needed to be removed and strengthening what needed to remain. The people who left were not losses without logic. They were departures I permitted because their season in your life was complete, and this new season, the one you are stepping into now, requires a different kind of foundation. It requires two people who have been refined, not two people who simply stumbled into each other by accident. That is the difference between what I build and what the world offers. What the world throws together often falls apart. What I build holds, and I have not only been preparing a person for you, I have been preparing you for the person, adjusting your priorities, quieting your interest in things that once consumed you, shifting you internally in ways you may not have understood. All of that was repositioning. You were being aligned, and alignment is rarely comfortable because it requires you to release things you once held tightly. But what waits on the other side of that release is worth far more than what you are being asked to let go. And let me tell you why I am not showing you the whole picture all at once. Because your impatience has read my silence as absence. If I laid everything before you in a single moment, you would try to control it. You would grip it with both hands and try to shape it according to what you already understand. But I reveal things the way dawn breaks, gradually, gently, until what was hidden becomes impossible to miss. I am answering your prayers right now. Not all at once, because that is not how I work. And if I gave you the full sunrise in a single flash, it would overwhelm the very eyes I am preparing to see it. So trust the slow light. Trust that the fact you cannot yet see the whole shape of this does not mean nothing is forming. Beneath the surface, in the dark, the roots are already going down. The ground is already being turned, and a field that has been plowed and watered does not feel destruction in the shifting of its soil. It feels the beginning of growth. That unsettled feeling in you, that quiet insistence that something is about to change, is not wishful thinking. It is my hand at work beneath the surface, and I do not turn the soil of a heart I do not intend to bring to harvest. So let this word anchor you when the waiting stretches long, because it will stretch, and doubt will try to convince you that nothing is happening. When that voice comes, return to what I have spoken here. Something is happening. It is happening in you, in the person I am preparing, and in the timing only I can see. And it is closer than the space between one breath and the next. You do not need perfect faith to receive it. You only need willingness. The willingness to keep the gate unlocked, to keep your heart soft, to keep believing when believing is hard. Your readiness to open the door is enough. I have been preparing this all along, and it is nearer now than it has ever been. So do not let the length of the waiting rewrite the truth of the promise. What I have set in motion has not stopped moving, not for a single day, and it is moving directly toward you. So receive this blessing over your life tonight. I bless the fullness of who you are, that you would never again shrink it to fit someone too small to hold it. I bless the walls you built to survive, that you would let me walk gently through them without ever having to tear them down in fear. I bless the closed doors behind you, that you would see them at last as the protection they were. I bless the verdict you passed on yourself, that it would fall silent, because it was never mine to begin with. I bless your waiting, that it would become trust instead of anxiety, and readiness instead of striving. I bless the one I am preparing for you, wherever they are tonight, that I would be refining them for you as surely as I am refining you for them. And I bless the moment your paths finally cross, that something in you would simply know, and that for the first time in a long time, you would feel permission to stop performing and simply rest in being fully seen. I bless the vulnerability you have feared, that it would become the doorway to a freedom you will never want to lose. I bless the differences that will come, that you would see them not as warnings but as the texture of something real. I bless your discernment, sharpened in the fire, that it would guide you into what is safe and away from what is not. I bless the shared purpose I am weaving between you and the one I have chosen, that your love would overflow into every life it touches. And I bless your waiting heart tonight, that it would trade its anxiety for a settled peace, knowing that what I have promised is not a maybe, it is a matter of time, and the time is drawing near. What I have joined in my design, no season of loneliness can cancel. And what I am sending will not make you smaller. It will finally give you room to be whole. And hear this, because it is the truth beneath every other thing I have said tonight. You have spent so long believing that love, for you, would always come with a cost, that to be chosen you would have to give up pieces of yourself, that the price of being wanted was becoming someone smaller and easier and less. That was the lie the wrong loves taught you, and it was never mine. Real love, the love I designed, does not shrink you. It expands you. It does not ask you to become less so that it can feel comfortable. It makes room for all of you and calls it good. So when the one I am sending arrives, and you feel the old instinct rise to make yourself smaller, to hide the depth, to soften the fullness, I want you to remember this word, and I want you to stay whole. Because the whole of you is exactly what they were prepared to love. Not the edited version, not the manageable version. The real, deep, unshrunk you. The one you have kept hidden for so long that you almost forgot she was there. That is the one I am bringing this love home to. So carry this with you when you leave, and return to it on the nights. The silence grows loud again, because it will. When you feel the old urge to shrink, remember that the one I am sending will never ask you to. When you wonder whether your past disqualified you, remember that I already released it, and so can you. When impatience rises, remember that my timing is precise, and what is yours will not pass you by. And remember the one thing that matters most, that you were never made to be made small, and the love I am bringing is not built from the same materials that failed you before. This is different ground, and the foundation has already been tested in my hands before it ever reaches yours. And on the days it feels like it will never come, do this one thing. Do not measure my faithfulness by how much longer you have to wait. Measure it by the fact that I have never once broken a promise I made to a heart that trusted me. Look back over your own life, at the times you were certain you would not make it through. And there you are, still standing, still here, still capable of hope. That was me, keeping you. In seasons you did not even know I was holding you. And the same God who carried you through every valley behind you is not going to abandon you at the edge of the very thing he has been building for you all along. So when the loneliness whispers that this word was just a nice feeling with nothing behind it, answer it with this. My God does not stir a longing he has no intention of answering. He does not turn the soil of a heart he does not intend to bring to harvest. And he has been turning yours for a long time now. So do not shrink yourself one more day. Chosen one, waiting for a love that would only have asked you to disappear. That is not what I am sending before you go. Subscribe and stay close to this house, so the next word I speak over your promise finds you, and share this with someone you know who has spent years making themselves smaller to be loved. Because sending it may be the very thing that tells them they never had to. And as your final declaration tonight, if your whole heart receives this, type, I am ready to receive it with open hands. I have chosen someone for you. Their name is already written, and they will love the whole of you, not the shrunken version the world asked you to become.